Okay, let's talk about the art of analytics. Uh, by tried that it was like kind of conference or meeting of 20 amazing analytics insights. So they use some kind of artistic view over the data, try to visualize the data using some intrinsics. So actually, look over those kind of data. It's kind of galaxy type kind of visualizations, and or this one. Let's go to the next. For example, this one is about a calling center, and basically is just showing the connections between different entities. So basically, each dot is a phone number, line is a call between these two phone numbers. As you see, for some some numbers called a lot, they are either related to business or maybe just those annoying numbers that just reach so many people. It might be helpful for first to be artistic and just catching eyes, and maybe for this case you can find you could be suspicious to some phone numbers and just pick who's is either a legitimate number who's reaching people, or either just those ads or like people. Some cases could be crimes, but they just, I mean, I'm not sure how long you have been in the US. Sometimes people call you, ask for your social number, credit number, don't give it to them. So they want to rip you off. So even if they call you from, let's say, court, or sometimes police may call you, but they should give you the exact address that you should go and talk with them. So even if police calls you, they don't give you any information over phone, you should go in person. Or for so many legal things, they send you a letter. So don't provide any legal or basically financial information over phone. Anyway, so, or this one is about some tweet storm. So there is some sources of tweets. People might mention them a lot here. Each dot refer to a Twitter ID, and lines refer to retweets. Like it could be some sport events, or like some political tweets. For example, Trump used to be very active in Twitter, so whenever he made some tweets, people retweeted a lot. So it could be referred to those kind of situations. Or this one is just money flow between companies. Dot is a company, and line just money transfer. So let's have a discussion. These kind of figures, what do you think are the pros and cons? Can anyone say some pros and cons of this kind of figures? In general, not any specific of them, but
it's attractive and it makes people really grabs people's attention. But the con is that it's difficult to understand, not easy to interpret by a common man.
Any other feedbacks?
It's open to a lot of interpretation, but I may be looking at it from a different angle. When you talk to the person next to me, you also see something different without, everything defined.
Also, so we know this is only like find out the anomalies, like what transactions or phone numbers or there were just you find that hard to read. One separate line could be like anomalies. In one just one scenario, and then these are all the regular transactions.
Yeah, I think all of you are right. So you're talking about some information issue. So in terms of transferring information, doesn't seem to very practical. It might cause some misunderstanding or even sometimes difficult to understand. Other one, is catching eyes, could be artistic, just show how technical, how artistic you are, but at the same time, takes a lot of time and effort. So if you get hired in a company, they just hire people who could make informative decisions, make informative reports quickly. So for daily work in a company, like such figures are not just useful. So they don't hire you to be, they won't hire you as an artist. It's better, it's good to have some capabilities in terms of creating, to be a little artistic, but not too much. It's too much here. So I just figured out I forgot my mask, and due to university issue, it's illegal. So, or not illegal, it's bad. So let me just go and grab my mask and come back quickly. I'm sorry guys. I just saw your face. I was thinking something like wrong with me today. So hopefully if you see me outside, you can figure out who I am. So, because you saw me without mask today. Oh, anyway. So yeah. It's good to have these capabilities, but just good to have. That's not necessary. Or some cases, if your company say you spend too much of time to create this, they would be mad at you because you should be productive and you know, at the end of the day, even making figures, Tableau, like Excel, Power BI, is not the big thing. The big thing is how you can make decision, how to provide your insight. Your insights is much more valuable than the technology that you know. So I'm not sure if we have those like analytics competitions at Collect this year. Most likely we have. So usually people who can talk about their project, people who can make connection with the audiences win the competition. Even last year, nobody, I think the winner was not even from business analytics major. So he didn't have business analytics tool set, but he was so good in presenting and communicating with the people who are much older than him and are from different majors. He could win a business analytics competition. This one is about some information about whiskey brands. This one made by a student in Oklahoma State. Now he's a professor. So it's about different diseases in the human bodies. So okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Do companies like, presentations like this? Is that what people are doing right now?
Which one? This one?
I mean, all the visual. Is that what companies prefer?
No, they don't prefer. If you know them, if you can make one, it just means you are very good in some. There is some script languages for making something similar to this. Not this much artistic for sure. This much artistic just need different tool set. So if you can make one, it just means you are very good in technical aspects, but they don't ask you to just do it every day, maybe once in a whole year. So it's not. It just means it's not very important to be able either to make one or not be able to make one. So as I said, the use of visual representation is to explore, make sense of, and communicate data. So for exploring, making sense, and communicating data, you don't have to be too much artistic. Basically, at the end, you should be able to provide information. Again, let's read. And information is aggregation, summarization, contextualization of data. So it's the goal. So if you know Power BI and Tableau is a plus, but it's not the main thing. So even for your final project, I don't want to see you just put so much of visualization and never be able to talk about them. So that's really bad. So otherwise, people can hire robots and just throw data and see some cool visualization. That's it. So it's not the reason people hire you. So they want you guys to provide information for them. So data visualization is not something new. I think if you look at some historic sites, it might be even like more than 5,000 years ago, people started to do some visualization. So that's some ancient pots that they provide some information about agriculture and some animals. Then, in the near centuries, they try to put more informative or more quantitative data on their visualizations. And recently, even is a kind of, you can consider as a discipline. So even here, you see 1801. If you use some basically visualization to talk about quantities, is about export and import of Denmark and Norway. So even at that here, as you see, we have more quantitative data visualizations. So again, this figure just shows you the nature of the data. It could come from sensors, social media, some business data set, including SQL, Access. Then, especially if you're from business analytics major, so you should be able to have some tools, some skills to get all of those data. As we talked in the last class, it might take like 80% of your time. You'd just try to catch all the data and prepare them for processes. In the second stage, which might take 20% of your time, you should do some visualization, some analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive, descriptive, and make sense of the data and do data exploration. The last part, which is presentation, you should understand the data and the basically the analytics that you used very well, and should be able to make some information, those aggregation and summarization of the data. And maybe if it's about analytics, you predict if it's about predictive analytics, you should predict something in future. If it's prescriptive analytics, you should prescribe a specific way of doing something. So these are all challenges that might might cost you a lot of time. As I said, this could be cost up to 80% of your project, because first of all, first part is just getting the data. You might have some data source reliability, content, accessibility, some consistency issue. Granularity means either it could be geographical granularity or time granularity, and even validating of the data. There's a certain projects, we could just look at the quality of the data. You might remember during previous president, there was so much of talk about fake media or fake news. So even people use analytics to just analyze if the data that they get, is it fake or related to a genuine news. Okay, these are the general types of the data that you might encounter. So is either structured or unstructured. Structured means just SQL-based data that you might see. Data are in the columns and rows, and you have tables that are connected to each other. Unstructured just means any general type of data. Could be textual, multimedia, even JSON file, all of them are unstructured. So in this course, we cover some part of, we would have some textual data analytics, and also for definitely we go over some structural data, either for predictive and prescriptive. When I talk about them, so we get to the point that you should always keep in mind. In this course, you learn so much of visualizations, how to make so many different types of figures. But there's always an important question: which chart or graph should you use? There is no clear answer. You just should use the ones that you can make better decision. So what I mean, let's say you learn how to make 20 different types of figures. You shouldn't just drop all of them in your project. And also, I remember most of your friends' issues that I got in their projects, which again, I told you to submit your project sooner so I can provide some feedbacks. For example, last 2 years, I've seen people just drop so many figures in their project without even explanation. So it's like a robot just submitted something. And so what I mean, you might submit 5 figures, but you should be able to explain what do they mean, what can you understand from them, and those kind of things. So don't just drag and drop some figures from your software and think is a good thing. Okay. So let's look at the cool dashboard. So it's from basically gapminder.org. This is a very famous company who provides so cool visualizations. Okay, so you learn to do actually something similar at the end of this course, but definitely for this level of visualization, you need to spend more than what you learn in this class. So on the y-axis, we have life expectancy. On x, we have income. So from this figure, what can you understand so far? What general thing?
The higher your income, the higher.
Yeah, higher income.
Yeah, higher
more.
Income, yeah, corresponding to slightly higher life expectancy. Look at the yellow bubble all the way up the top, right?
So yellow refers to Eurasia. So Europe and some of Russia. Yeah, and it's for whole history. So let me just play here. It's from 1805. So maybe recent year is different, but just average of whole last 200 years. So do you want to say something?
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, you can see the gap between like the income on like, let's say, Europe and Africa or like the Americas.
Yeah.
And you just like see like where's like those pink dots right there. So,
Mhm.
like in the middle of it, or you channel straight for it.
Yep.
And then you can just see like clearly where it's going with
Yeah, it's very good. Actually, it's much more important to be able to make these figures. So with these figures, if you make this dashboard, it means you are good for entry-level business analytics jobs. But if you can explain that these figures, it just means you're in better levels, higher level. So let's just play it and see what can you see from here. So it seems by 1905, European countries just have a good improvement, so they jumped so much. But Asian countries are still just not that much of progress. So let me just go back a little bit. This is China, right? So let me, I'm asking from your Chinese friends. So let me just make China and India, because we have so many Indian Chinese students here. So India. Let me go back a little bit. Maybe here. So have you seen what happened to China? It seems near 1960s, there is a sudden drop in life expectancy. Is there anyone from China who knows history, what happened near 1960s?
there's a
Oh, maybe that's, so suddenly China went down and then jumped back.
3 years.
Ah. But look, China and India is catching up. So 2018, they are very almost in the same level of European countries. So yeah, so again, so the blue dots are India, China. I think you guys are 1/3 of the whole world, right? Or even more than 1/3.
Yeah.
India and China, I think, is like about 1/3 of the whole planet. So the big dots are referred to these two countries. So I think something happened in 1870 something, because both countries went down. So it might be a big war at that here, I'm not sure. So by the way, I mean, the life expectancy for like India and China is like 20, 30 years. It doesn't mean nobody lives more than, maybe somebody live more than 100 years, but it just means it could be some war or some diseases. So maybe infants who just 1 year old dies. So the average of 1 year, let's say 2 infants with the 1 year and one who could live 100 years. 1 plus 1 plus 100 is 102 divided to 3, it will be 34. So although the average is 34, it doesn't mean nobody lived more than 30 something. It just means the average was suddenly down, maybe because it was a disease, so many babies died. So the average suddenly went down. 1970s. So as you see, almost whole the world went down. So is there anyone here who knows what happened? Yeah, World War One. Yeah, so almost so many people died. So as you see, this is actually a good figure. There's a lot of technical things included. It means everybody who did this figure who was very good in technical matters, also is very able to communicate and can talk about the information very well, versus this figure. Maybe they are much harder to make, but much harder to talk about and just make information, but very artistic.
Are these made on Tableau?
Pardon me?
Are these figures made on Tableau?
These figures?
Yeah.
No. There is some good packages. For example, I forgot the names, but there is some Java-based scripts, JavaScript-based languages that we can make this. But again, maybe just good for a competition or something, not just for day-to-day work. So it just wastes a lot of time and effort for just a little gain. So these are the major data visualization and visual analytics softwares. As you see, the best one is Tableau and Power BI in terms of the leader softwares. I mean, here, so we covered these two. I don't say they're bad things, but they're the most common ones. If you look at some job posting, many people looking for people who know something in Power BI and Microsoft Power BI and also Tableau. And we covered a lot, major parts of Tableau and Microsoft Power BI. But what I recommend, especially if you're in the job market for either internship or a full-time job, get some certification. Later, I provide some major certification programs that you can join. Also, if the budget matters and time matters, you can look for some LinkedIn-based courses. They are free for you. So with your Clark email, you can register for them and get certification, get them posted over your LinkedIn profile. So if there is some softwares with looking people, they can just easily catch you. So getting certification is good. Doesn't mean you're professional. Having certificate just means at least you know basics. So that's really good to get some certifications. Later, I provide you some major certification, but if you go to LinkedIn, LinkedIn Learning, there's that, LinkedIn Learning. I look at some of them like Power BI Essential Training or something like that. I haven't finished it, but if I spend like 2 hours on something, usually takes more, but as you see, at least you get something, a badge on your LinkedIn profile. That's good. That just shows you know basics. So if you're looking for internship or full-time job, I recommend to have like both certificates. Again, as I said, I provide you a more sophisticated certificate information later, but LinkedIn is free and much easier to finish. Any questions so far? And as I said, if you know some other visualizations, especially the niche players, so I don't say they are bad things, but they're not that much common. So, or some visionaries like SAS, other tools, there are IBM tools. All of them are good things. I don't say they are bad things, but usually for the, most of the companies right now, they're either on Tableau side or Power BI. If you know JavaScript, you can make some more sophisticated one. Even there are very advanced Python packages that you can implement and make these something similar to these figures. But again, as I said, knowing Python and R or those script languages like JavaScript are all good, but rarely you need too much in your when you get a job. Usually they want fast and informative figures right away. So even if you know JavaScript, Python, R, it's much easier, more efficient to use these tools and make some figures that you can help, that helps your company to make informative decisions. Any questions so far? Let me wait 1 or 2 minutes for your friend over Zoom. So because I don't see their faces, see if people over Zoom, if you have questions, you can either use your mic or type in the chat room so I can see them. I don't see any questions. Let me read this one completely. Without storytelling, data offers just a rare view mirror. So you should be able to use your techniques. I mean, those like tools that you have to be able to make your story. So the story could be the previous events and what you can see in future. Is there anyone who knows Mr. Branson, Sir Branson? He's a famous international entrepreneur. He's from England. So just read what he said here. Complexity is your enemy. Any fool can make something complicated. It is hard to make something simple. If I explain anyway, he meant don't throw so much of information in the tools, make some complicated figures. You should be enough smart to make something simple that provides a lot of information, helps people to make decisions. So I used to, I mean, I know in some multi-billion companies, even like Apple or like Chevron, those big companies, I mean, the CEO should know all the major projects, but if his or her employees just provide so much of complicated figures and tables, they cannot finish reading them. They should 24/7 just read those tables. So they should make multi-billion decisions by looking at very fast. So they need something simple but enough informative. I'm not sure, but I think I heard a story about Apple CEO Tim Cook. He fired some guys because they were not able to make some good report, simple informative reports. Because those guys, they don't want to spend too much time to figure out what is going on there and think what you did. And they hire people to make their life simpler, not complicated. Okay, so for today, we'll start giving a shot to Tableau, just playing with some figures. And from the next class, we have more hands-on experiences. So for today, I don't want you guys to freak out from Tableau. Just see, it's even much easier than Excel. So open your Tableau. Let me just exit my previous one. No. I'm using the latest Tableau version, but if you have the previous one, that should be okay too. Also, on model, where's model? So I put the in class.pdf. You can open alongside because it's your first time working with Tableau. And no worries if you forget some steps. So I put all the figures there. So I forgot to upload the data set. Let me just upload the data set too. So if for me, okay, download in class and the data set that I'm going to upload today. So today my computer has a lot of issues. It's the reason I'm uploading too late, but okay, download the sample source subset.xlsx, also in class PDF. Is there anyone has issues in for providing the private key for Tableau? So as I said, go to Tableau installation and key. So when you click on it, download and install the latest version. This is your activation key. Don't share it outside your class. Otherwise, some of your friends cannot install Tableau because it has limited installation copy. So go to help, manage product key. Here, activate and just with the product, you just paste your code here and activate your copy. Okay, so first I'm going to bring that Excel file into Tableau. Go to Microsoft Excel, browse, and just bring the Excel file that you have. I already uploaded. It might take a little bit. Let me wait 1 minute for everyone who can be able to get to this point. So go to your model, download a PDF and Excel file, open Tableau, and just bring the Excel file into the Tableau.
Can you use Tableau mobile?
Tableau mobile? I haven't worked with that, but it should be fine. I think you have tablets, right? Okay. I'm trying it. Let's see. Yeah. So you have a tablet. Sorry, you have a laptop. Why you didn't install it?
No, Wi-Fi isn't connecting on my laptop.
Is not? I think there is a. If you look at the Clark website, you can find how to connect your laptop. So anyway, so we have 3 tables. We work with the order table. So as you see, it has row ID, product, order priority, discount, unit price. So these are some multiple rows. So each row related to a part of the order. So for some orders, you have multiple lines. It just means somebody ordered multiple things. So you might have different, you might have same order ID for different lines. So let me just drag and drop returns here. So it's just, you know, it won't automatically connect these 2 tables through order ID. So it's for the people who had a SQL server, you know, you remember we have 2 tables, you have a unique ID, you try to connect them, and we have different types of connection, like many to many, one to many, those kind of things. Is it exactly the same thing? But it's not the goal of this course. So we don't work with the SQL-based logic, because more specifically, this course is very general one. So we have so many other students from different majors, but
Could you please add to the previous action?
yeah, sure. I'll just explain something extra because it's not useful for everyone. So for your project, if you have multiple tables that you want to connect, you just, when you open your Excel file, you can drag and drop, just connect those tables together and work with whole data set. But it's not the goal for today, so I'll just delete them. Remove this one. Okay, which step you are? Even before this? Okay. Let me close Tableau again. So have you downloaded the Excel file?
Yes.
Okay. So you need to bring the Excel file into Tableau. You just go here, Microsoft Excel, or go to File and Open. Both of them are same. Similar to other programs, if you go to the Excel, it's exactly the same. I click on Microsoft Excel, browse to my file, click, and just brings it to here.
Because he's already done that, we just need to drag all the rest to the place.
Okay. So now we have 3 tables. As I said, for people who work with the SQL Server, you can just work with the multiple tables. But for this class, our focus are not on SQL Server. So just select orders, drag and drop it here. So open the PDF file. So look at the first figure. In the first figure, on the columns, I have product category. So furniture, office supplies, and technology. So, and I have some of the sales. So my goal, I want to see my sales in different categories. So for this purpose, oh, where is that? Do you see if I hover my mouse here? Sheet 1. If next to sheet 1, there's a, if I look, it's just a new worksheet. If you click, you say new worksheet, but I go to sheet 1. So on the left side, I have 2 sections, measure names, measure values. So measure name means categorical variables or categorical columns of my first table in the data set. I know it's a weird name. So instead of saying categorical variable, it just said measure names. Also, I have measure value. It just means numerical column. So again, in data source, some of your data is categorical and numerical. Instead of that, when I go to sheet 1, I have measure values and measure names. So it's just nothing, just saying some values are categorical, some of them are numerical. Okay, for first figure, for columns, I have product category. For rows, I have sales. So category, product category, is a numerical value or categorical value? So it's obvious, right? The name even is category. So for that category, you drag and drop columns. Sales, drag and drop on rows. As you see, it's already calculated the sum. If you are not, so if you're not happy with that, take your mouse in this green part. Do you see a small triangle here? Just click. If you go to measure, you can change to median, average, count, anything. So let's say I'm looking at average. Again, let me do it again. So I know sale is a number of sales, is the amount, so it should be numerical. So from sales, I drag and drop up to here. Again, today is not for teaching Tableau, just having some sense of Tableau, so no worries. And again, I post a video, so later you can see what I did. But as you see, Tableau has a smart intelligence, so it just assumes most likely I'm looking at the sum of the sales. So it's the reason for the sales, although I don't have the summation, it automatically calculates the sum. So based on this figure, or basically, what does this figure tell you? Can anyone look at this table and tell me, let's say you don't know anything about Tableau, yeah.
Yeah, just like, you see like the sales or like technology of the supplies and furnitures and like how much of the sales are.
Yeah, it seems we are our performance technology, sorry, in technology is more than furniture. We sell more in technology side. So let me change it to average. So I click on this triangle, then go to measure average. So as you see, although the overall sales in furniture is less than technology, but the average is more. What does it mean? Maybe you sell, okay, tell.
It means that maybe like or like a furniture but for technology it's like
And it makes sense, yeah?
Furniture, that's not why more than 3-4 items, but for the technology only 1 or 2. Yeah, this is a count that. Number of items you.
An average of sales. Let's say usually furniture are expensive. So like in this class, table is like furniture. The chair is a furniture. And this mouse is a technology, but my cell phone is a technology. So maybe cell phone is very expensive, but the mouse is cheap. So the average is less than furniture. But probably we sell more technology than furniture. So again, the goal is to be able to look at the figures and be able to provide some information. As you see, it's much easier. I'm not sure how many of you already worked with such a thing, similar thing, Tableau, sorry, in Python or if you want to make this figure in Python or it might take like 30 minutes. Here, drag, drop, that's it. So it's not scary. This is you just load the file, drag and drop, and many times you don't even have to think about the function. So Tableau guess maybe you are looking at sum, just calculate the sum. Let's look at the next figure. Yeah.
Is Tableau only used for like bar graphs and is it only used?
It has, you can mix even some dashboard. Do you remember we had a dashboard of like different countries during the years? You can make everything from a static figure up to dashboards. So it looks silly and easy, but you can make some advanced things. So your friends talk about counts. So let's counting orders in different regions. So for that, I go to sheet 2 or make a new sheet. Let me see, region. So region is a categorical variable. I put in column. And for counting, maybe I can look at the order ID. So how many orders I have in different regions. So I drag and drop order IDs on rows, or anything that could be unique. So, but as you see, I don't want to look at the orders each. Do you see I have order numbers here? So maybe instead of that, I take my mouse over order ID. You see the triangle, click on it, measure, count. And let's count the distinct because some orders might have multiple rows, just means somebody bought so many other things. So Tableau is smart, but not too much smart. So it didn't guess that when I drag and drop order, I want to count orders, just put all the orders in the rows. So again, here it seems I have more distinct orders in central region than east. No, sorry, then west. If I'm not blind, west and east are kind of close to each other, but the least number of orders comes from south. So maybe if you're in the marketing department and look at these figures, it means you're underperforming in the south. If there is no other reason, maybe you need to do some advertisement in the south to like just boost your orders. Again, no worries. I mean, we talk about details of everything. What does everything mean? Today, I just want to show you how cool is Tableau. So we go to teaching in the next class. So look at these figures. For the rows, I have measure names, and I have measure values in the marks. So so we have rows and columns. Marks just means everything in the center. So rows, columns, and marks means every marks in the whatever you see in the center. So let's say, so I make a new worksheet by clicking on this icon, new worksheet. So measure names. I think it was in the columns. No, rows. Measure values in the marks. But you know, I just have a list of different measure values in the center. So I need to see numbers. I don't want to just see such a thing. So take your mouse in the marks. Do you see have dots? Just click and change it to text. Again, we have, I know this is kind of complicated figure. We talk later about it, but I just want to show you, we have rows, columns, and everything in the center, you played with the marks. So first it was something like this. It's the default one, but I took my mouse over these dots, click on it and change it to text. So I'm seeing the textual version of my data. Yeah. So first, okay, let me just delete everything. Measure names on rows. Measure values in the marks. And I want to change it instead of details, change it to text.
For the numbers in the sheet 3, for the column folder, 9,126, that means there are these types of column folders. This column means that 168 types of this column.
Now look at the measure values here. For the discount, it calculates sum. Sum of all the discounts. For orders, is CNT means count. For product, that is margin, we have sum. So if you are not happy, let's say instead of sum, you go to average. Average is almost near 0, so you see 0. Maybe it's not a good thing. So let me change it to median. Median 0 too. So I think for this one, let's just be sum. But I think you got how to play with that. Yeah, maybe there's not that one. Yeah. Maybe you just have two discounts. Maybe, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the data, but it just means very centered around 0. Yeah, means there's almost no discount, maybe just 1. Okay, Okay, so let's look at this one. As you see now, for columns, I'm looking at the product container and also measure names. For the rows, I have measure values. So next one, product container. Measure name. I have so many information for some, though I just want to keep profit and sale. So let me just delete. For deleting, just select and press delete or take your mouse here and I think it should be something, yeah, remove.
So how to add?
Hmm?
So how to add the visual?
I put in the rows. So I took measure values and drop it here. So then you see so many of them there. Okay, so let me just delete this one. If I want to change the colors are in the center, so I should have something the marks. So as I said, if whatever you have in the mark is for just changing something in the center, let me just drag and drop project measure names. Then look at what I do over dots. So I click on the dots and change it to color. Now you have two different colors. So again, it was nothing here. It was everything was kind of bluish. So if I want to play with the center, I should add something in the marks. What I did, I went to measure names and drag it here and change, dots to color. So for profit and sale, I have different colors. Again, no worries. Today I want you guys to get a feeling of Tableau. So I explain everything later. Just keep in mind, we have rows, we have columns, we have marks, and you can play with different functions if you count, sum, median, mean, those kind of things. I think we are getting to finishing the time. So look over this figure. For the columns, now we did different things. So for the columns, we have a numerical value, which is sum of the sales. For the rows, I have two different categorical values. First category, second subcategory. So it's the reason for the rows, first you see categories, the larger one or major group, then subgroup or subcategories. So you might ask a question, when we put numerical in the rows and columns, there is no biblical rule. Just see what your user used to. So if they used to numerical values in the columns, put in the columns, otherwise put in the rows. So I think they're pretty much similar. So, but let me talk about the year. I want to look at my sales in different parts of the year. So what I do, so I put the dates on the columns and sales in the row. So where's order date? So as you see, I have annual sales, but maybe I want to look at quarters. So I click on this plus sign here. Now I get into quarters. Again, next to the quarter there's a plus sign. Click on it. So you get into each month. If you're not happy with the quarters, you can just select on it, go to, take your mouse over this triangle and remove it. So in each year, you see some of the sales. So is there anyone who can tell me why I have a big jump in the last months of the year?
Because of Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas, people buy a lot of things. So maybe you can see that there's a jump. So maybe you should take care of inventory. Let's just put on. So it seems we have same trend in each year. So let me just focus on the months. Maybe in December, it's just a decrease in the sale because maybe people planning to travel, but before travel, we have a big amount of sale. Although in the December also we have a lot of sale, but why in the November there's a huge jump? If it's your second year in the US, you should know about Black Friday. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
High decrease over the July, so I think that this is because of the bottom due to the fall in the company. So this product maybe related to the temperature.
Yeah, might be, yeah, product type works. So let's just drag and drop product type or category. So let's look at technology. It seems we have a lot in the November and December, maybe because of Black Friday, but technology sales is very low in the maybe January and February. In January, February, we have a lot of sale in the, still furniture is the most. Yeah, in the January, February, furniture is the most sale. I'm not sure why, but in the November and December, you sell most of, even for October, most of sales in the technology. So let's say you want to do, you work with Amazon. So you can, based on these figures, you can make a plan maybe for the last quarter of the year. You stock so much of technology thing because people buy a lot of technology, but maybe for January, February, and March, you start to, think of getting rid of technology because furniture you sell a lot. So these are, you make some, at the end, knowing Tableau is, as you see, is not too difficult. You just drag and drop, but you look at the figures and you can make some decisions and provide some information. Okay, that's for today. I think I add more figures. You can just play with them. I think we ran out of time. Maybe in the next class, I showed 2 more figures. But again, I think you can easily build them up, especially for this one. The last figure, we don't have any rows and columns. We just play with the center. So as you see, all the informations are in the marks because instead of row and columns, everything in the center. So next class, I play with 1 or 2. But again, the purpose of today is just having a sense of Tableau, not that much of learning. Hopefully from next class, we have more hands-on experiences, so Tableau would be super easy for you guys. Any questions for today? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to upload them tonight, but 4 of you don't need to submit assignment 3. So I don't see any questions from you guys, also from Zoom. So
no, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.